When I came in today, Eric was singing that song, and I said, man, you have got to throw that song in today. And he's like, I can if you want me to. I can if you want me to. Because I believe, I've been listening to that song over and over in the radio, driving back and forth to work. And if you just listen to the words, it says, I know you're able, and I know that you can. I know you're able, God. I know that you can. But listen, even if you don't, my hope is you alone. You know, there's a lot of people that when God is on this mountaintop, when God is up there and everything is good, they're saying, God is great, God is able, God can do it, it's awesome. But as soon as they run into a big, big storm, all of a sudden, this God that was so great and so able, he's hard to trust and he's hard to follow. And I love when artists like Mercy Me put out songs that says, you know what, even when it don't look good, even when I'm struggling, and I know that God can do it, but even if he don't, even if the mountain doesn't move, even if the struggle's still there, even if I prayed for stuff forever and ever and it hasn't happened, you're my hope alone. The God, you are my hope alone. The God, you are all that I need. And it was so funny that when I come in here that he would be singing that song. He was the only one here this morning, standing on the stage by himself, just sitting here saying, God, my hope is you alone. That I know you're able and I know you can. That even through the sorrow, even through the heartache, I mean, we never know the battle of the person sitting right next to us. We never know the hurt of what somebody sitting right next to us is going through. We only know our hurts. We don't always know everything. And when I heard him singing that song, I was like, man, that is a song for today. Because even when we can't see what God is doing, he will make a way for us. But that has to be our resolve in the end. That has to be the thing that we cling to and say, God, you are my hope alone. Even when the way doesn't seem clear. Even when things seem like it's not going to work out. And I only got a couple announcements, and I don't want to forget them because I know they're important. And if I go on into this sermon, I'm going to forget them, I promise. But this weekend, we raised about $772 for our youth group to go to this Camp Unite and to do other things that they're doing through the yard sale down at Bryant, which is a good number. $772 is a lot of money between the food and the rentals and everything that we did. That's what we profited and walked away with. The second thing I want to tell you is that the green buckets went around, or I think one was like a green bucket, but today was the last day that it went around. And the reason why we did that is last year we raised $10,000 for our kids to go to youth. And we did it in an extended period of time. I think the green buckets ran for months. And we ran the green buckets just through the month of May, but we missed the first week, so we did the first week of June. And I want to tell you, if you haven't invested, if you have not invested in the youth program that happens in this church, I promise you, you're missing something. I promise you are. God does not just open up 3,000 square foot next door and says, oh, by the way, I'm just going to give that to you. That doesn't just happen, folks. Not when we paid for every bit of square foot to be in this building. They don't just say, yeah, you can have that building till it rents out. Yeah, go ahead and do it. And we have a youth center down in Crittenden. Invest in our youth programs. I promise they're worth it. Amen. Second thing is me and my wife in a few weeks are going to Haiti. And there's a list out there out at the board out here at the foyer at the hub. And there's some items on there that every time that my wife or someone goes to a foreign country, they'll give you a list of items. And we're going there in just a few weeks, and you maybe not be able to go. But there is a way that you can go, is if you look at that list and you say, well, I can bring in that or I can bring in this. If you can do that, get with Linda today. Because we want to take as much as what we can on that list to them. Last year we took them a guitar over there, and that was a big deal for them. This year we're taking a projector and we're taking some other stuff, some wires and different things that they need, that you don't understand how hard it is when you're sitting in a foreign country and you're trying to do mission work, and we seem like a million miles away when you're over in a foreign country. And everything that we could run to Walmart right now and get, like 4 packs of paper, like that doesn't seem like a big deal, but to them, being so many miles away and not having the resources, it's a big deal when you're in Haiti and you don't have paper to do ministry with. That's a big deal. So if you can help out, we would love you to help out. And also, we're collecting crayons. If you can get boxes of crayons in. I know Linda and Sister Donna and a few other people are working on them, but we're collecting crayons right now for OCC that's coming up at the end of the year. And you have to do that throughout the year, amen? But the reason why that I wanted to share all that with you today, and the reason why that I think that it wasn't a coincidence, that when we come in here and the keyboard shut off, and then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, we got the breaker back on, and I went back to the back, and somebody come over and said, hey, guess what? The breaker's off again. Go back here and turn it back on. And I said, well, I'm just going to turn the baptistry off, because I guarantee you, them little 2 heaters in there are sucking power, and they never turned it off before. And I'm standing back there, and as soon as it happened the first time, I just felt like God was saying, whenever an attack happens, that's when I'm getting ready to do something. Whenever an attack happens, you need to understand that I believe that Christians only get attacked in a couple different times in their life. One is when you're just coming out of a victory. When you're just coming out of the battle and you feel all this relief, Satan says, I got to calm them down. I can't have them doing what they're doing. I got to calm them down. And so he attacks you in those moments when you come over the mountain. But I also believe that when God is getting ready to do something, when he's getting ready to move in your life, when he's getting ready to open a door in your life, I feel like it's in that moment that Satan says, I got to distract them, get them away from God. So he comes in right at the moment of a blessing, right at the moment of a mountain moving. And he says, here's the point where I'm going to try and I'm going to distract them. I'm going to try to derail them over here so they can't focus on God, because if I can get them off the door of their future, if I can get them off that door, then what happens is I can derail where they're going in their future. And this week in my sermon, I want to tell you, you can just stay up here, brother, because I like what you're doing. Just stay right there. Don't leave. Because every little bit, you like that little keyboard player. I like that. That's maybe a little black in me. I don't know. I like that. I'm good with that. This week I was studying, and I don't know why God took me to this, but we went through the Good News Club at the school with the kids, where the people came out of Egypt. And God was doing all this stuff, man, as he hardened Pharaoh's heart, and then he sent plagues on Egypt and saying, sent Moses, release my people, let my people go. And Pharaoh said, no, I'm not going to do that. So Pharaoh would go back, and he would go back, and he would go back, and eventually Pharaoh said, go, just take them and go. But then he changed his mind, and he's chasing them. And they come to this Red Sea, and God just splits the entire Red Sea, and all the Israelites walked out. And it was an amazing scene, and all the kids in Good News Club got shared this entire bit of information. How God had made provision, and God, once they got over there, he was leading them through the night, and he was taking them to a place that he had promised them, leading them by night by fire and by day by clouds. And he was just, this is what God is doing for you, and he's leading you, and all you got to do is follow. That's all you have to do is follow. You don't always know where you're going, but just follow. Trust in him. Do your best to follow as close as you can to God. And so this week I was studying, and I said, I want to read just a little farther into that story. So I started reading in Numbers. And God had took me to a verse in Numbers 13, verses 1 and 2. And listen to this. The Lord said to Moses, send some men to explore the land of Canaan. Send the men to explore the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the Israelites. So here's this verse, and so I didn't even go any farther. I just stopped on this verse. And I said, God, show me something new. Show me something, God, that I haven't seen before, because that's my new thing. Once you're in the Bible so long and you're reading it and you've read these stories over and over, you want something brand new. You want something different. You want a new revelation. Not that it's actually a new revelation for anybody else, but for you and where you're at. You want God to open a door and say, show me something, God, different that I haven't seen before. And so while I'm reading that verse, and I got hung up on that verse, and one of the things that I just felt is like, why did God say go explore it? Why go explore the land? God, I don't understand that. You told Abraham to just pack his stuff up, move his entire family, all of his cows and all of his animals, all of his servants, pack up your tent and move 3 different times, and there was no exploring. I don't understand it. You told Noah to build a boat, God, and you didn't tell him to go out and explore the forest to see if there was enough land. So why are you telling Moses to send them out? And I know this is going to sound crazy, and I'm not contradicting the Bible, and I want you to stay with me for a second. But as I'm driving down the road, God said, I just want you to know I didn't do that. I didn't do that. And I said, God, Numbers 13:1 says that you did say that. He said, that wasn't my ideal. I just want you to know that. Keep looking. That's what God just told me. And I said, well, that'd be a contradiction, God. Now we got to be careful with the church. You got to be careful. He said, just keep looking. Keep searching. So I got on the internet and I just typed in just real simple into Google, who sent them? Who sent them to go spy out Canaan? And right when I did that, a verse in Deuteronomy popped up. It said, check out this verse, which is my next verse. Listen to this. This is Moses talking to the people. Deuteronomy 1:20-23. Says, then I said, listen, then I said to you, which is Moses saying to the people, you have reached the hill of the Amorites, which the Lord of God is giving you. See, the Lord your God has given you the land. Go up, take possession of it, as the Lord, listen, the God of your fathers told you. Do not be afraid. Do not be dismayed. But check this out. But then, all of you came to me and said, let us send men ahead to spy out the land for us to bring back a report about the route we will be able to take into the towns that we will come to. Listen, this is Moses. The ideal seemed good to me. It seemed good to me. So I selected 12 of you, 1 man from each tribe. And I'm going to tell you, if you just stop right there, you got a really big problem with the Bible. Because in Numbers 1, it says that God sent them. And in Deuteronomy 1, it says that's not true. That listen, Moses is calling the people out, and Moses is saying, no, it wasn't God. It was the people that wanted to go. And I went with it because it seemed like a good idea. Now, does the Bible contradict itself? Does it? No, it doesn't. So how in the world does this fit together? God, in Numbers 1, it says, God said, go explore the land. Deuteronomy says, no. The people said it. I don't believe the Bible contradicts itself. So how does it work together? Let me tell you how it works together. Based on a story that you would be told. Let me tell it to you another way that makes both of them true. Here's what happens. God says, go take the land, because that's what Deuteronomy says. Go take possession of it. I gave it to you. In the same instance, the people come back and says, Moses, let's send some spies. Moses says, that's a great idea. Let's send 12, 1 from each tribe. Then Moses turns around and comes back and says, God, this is the plan. And God says, okay, go explore the land. Go explore the land. I did say that. God did say that, but it wasn't God's ideal. When God gives you possession of something, just take it. Doesn't matter how hard it looks. When God says that you're going to change youth of Grant County, you can just say, we're going to change lives of Grant County. It doesn't matter who goes against us. When God says that this is what's going to happen, that one of these days you're going to fall into this, that I've called you to this, no matter how it looks crazy, if God puts it in your heart, quit doubting whether you have the strength to do it. Because let me show you, what seemed good didn't turn out so good. Let's go on. Numbers 13, 17 through 20. Then Moses sent them to explore the land. Okay, so the people come up with it. Moses agreed with it. God says, if that's how you want it, go do it. When Moses sent them to explore Canaan, he said, go up through Negev and all into the hill country, see what the land is like, and whether the people who live there are strong or weak, few or many. What kind of land do they live in? Is it good or bad? What kind of towns do they live in? Listen to this. Are they unwalled or fortified? How is the soil? Is it fertile or poor? Are the trees on it or not? Do your best to bring back some of the fruit of the land. Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't like how this is getting played out here, because there is some orders that is issued out here that for me is very problemsome. I don't even know if that's a word. Problemsome, that's what it is. It's a word now. But there's an issue here. Go into Canaan. Now, God already said, I'm going to give you the land that it's flowing with milk and honey. I'm already telling you it's going to be good. I'm already telling you it's going to be your home. I'm already telling you to go take possession of it. Moses is setting his people up for doubt. For doubt. Why? Because he's a human, but he is a leader, and he's a leader that God has called. But he is sowing a seed of doubt here, folks. Listen, think about it. Just listen for a second. See what the land is like and whether the people who live there are strong or they're weak. What he's really saying is go check out whether we can fight them and win or whether we fight them and lose. Well, hold on a second. That kind of goes against what God said. I already gave it to you. Think about it. What kind of towns do they live in? Are they unwalled or are they fortified? If they're fortified, we got to put some more energy into figuring out how to beat them. If they're unwalled, we just walk in there and fight them. Think about it. This is what's happening. Is it good or is it bad? And then he throws in a couple extra things that sounds good, right? Is the soil good? Is there trees there? Think about it. If there's good soil there and if there's trees there and the trees are growing, that means there's water there. And when you're out in the desert, just hunkering around in the desert, burning up, water sounds pretty good if there's a tree there. Bring back some fruit of the land. Bring us back something that they're growing. It all sounds great. So that's what happens. They go out. 26 says, they came back to Moses and Aaron and the whole Israelite community at Kadesh in the desert. Now they're in the desert of Paran. There they reported to them and to the whole assembly and showed them the fruit of the land. They gave Moses this account. We went into the land to which you sent us, and it does flow with milk and honey. Here is the fruit. All right, you sent us. This is what it looks like. It's true. It is. It's filled with milk and honey. Everything's awesome. But the very next word, if you look in your Bibles, if you don't have it, when you get home, look it up. The very next word, right after he says this, here's the fruit. It is filled with milk and honey. He says, but, I'm going to tell you, you'd be better off sometime just keep your butt out of it. It looks like, God, that I should go do this, but I don't see a way. It looks like, God, that you've called me to this ministry, but I don't know how I could ever minister to men. God, you've called me to drive the van, on Thursday nights, but I don't know how I could ever do that. God, you've called me to help in the youth programs, but I don't know how I can make time for that. Every time we get to the word but, whenever it's something to do with God, hey, I love the plan of God, and it sounds so easy, sounds so awesome, it's going to change my life, but I don't have enough time. But I don't have enough resources. But I don't have enough strength. But I don't have enough talent. So these clowns, I call them clowns because that's what they are. One from each tribe. Think about it. If you're going to pick out someone to go spy out the towns, and you're picking only one guy out of each tribe, is exactly what Moses did. Don't you pick the one with the most wisdom? The one that has the most wisdom, the one that can look at everything, that one that you would think, well, God has said this or God has said that. This is going to be amazing. And 10 of them come back. Says, we can't do it. It'd be impossible for us to do it. There's no way. We can't do it. Man, we look like grasshoppers in our own eyes. There's no way we can do it. They're stronger than us. Their cities are more fortified. There's no way we can beat them. There's nothing we can do against them. It is flowing with milk and honey, but you don't understand. These are warriors that live there. These are grown men that will take us out. They'll kill us. It's not going to be good. So after they give their big spiel, the 10 of them, Numbers 13:30 says, then Caleb silenced the people before Moses and said, we should go up and take possession of the land, for we can certainly do it. But the men who had gone up with him said, we can't attack these people. They are stronger than we are. And they spread among the Israelites a bad report about the land that they had explored. I want you to think about this for a second. You got Caleb and you got Joshua. They saw the same thing the other one saw. They saw that it would probably be based on their means, based on their strength, based on their abilities, their capabilities, what they had in their arsenal. There's no way we could do it. But Caleb and Joshua still said we should go. That wasn't going based on their report. They was going based on God's report. That I gave it to you. I gave it to you. Just go take possession of it. I want you to listen to Numbers 14. I know I'm jumping through the Bible a little bit, but Numbers 14, 1 and 2 says, that night all the people of the community raised their voices and wept aloud. All the Israelites grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The whole assembly said to them, if only we had died in Egypt or in the desert. That's your resolve? That if only we would have died in this desert that we're in. What they were referring to, folks, is in the very first miracle that happened in the desert is when God split the Red Sea. And the Egyptian army was chasing them, trying to catch them. What they were really saying is that it would have been better for us to have died in Egypt where they were slaves, or in the desert without all the provision that God had ever given them. Folks, these are the same people that saw the Red Sea split open. These are the same people that walked every single day through a desert that says, I'm going to follow the sun. I'm going to follow the cloud. I'm going to do, and God's going to provide food in a desert. God provides food, and He does all this stuff. And they get to this point right on the brink of their eternity to live forever. And God says, here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give you this land of Canaan. It's filled with milk and it's filled with honey. Just go take possession of it. And the report comes back that rather go with God's plan, it would be better to go with our plan. They even schemed up, said it'd be better for us just to stone Moses. And God makes a statement about Caleb. He says, Caleb and Joshua were the only ones that wholeheartedly wanted to follow me. So here's what I'm going to do. Listen, you can make your own plans, but it changes the plan of God. You know how I know? Because God intended for the entire people of the Israelites to walk into Canaan, take possession, and live the rest of their life there with a land filled with milk and honey, but they refused to do God's plan. So God says, okay, Caleb and Joshua, you're the only two that wanted to go. Guess what? You're the only two that's going. And guess what's going to happen? For the next 40 years, you're all going to live out in this desert. And every one of you, you want to die in a desert? Then you die in a desert. You want to die out here away from my provision? Then that's exactly what's going to happen. You want to die and you don't want to follow the calling of me? You don't want to walk into the future door? Hey, that's fine. You're going to live out here and you're going to die out here. Do you know what I don't really like about that? Here's the thing that scares me about that. Because the Bible also says that God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Listen, the Bible says God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And do you know how many people that have been called to do something great? Do you know how many people that God has said, this is what I'm calling you to, this is what I'm calling you to, this is what I'm calling you to. I've got a plan for you. I've got marksmanship for you. And I know that Brett don't like when I step on a speaker, but I don't care today. But listen, God says this. God says, listen, Billy, I've got a plan, man. And this is the door, right? Come on with me. Come on. This is the door right here. If you just go through this way, it's going to be awesome. But see, you have a choice. I can't tell you what's out there. You're going to have to go and you're going to have to trust me. But see, Billy has an option. He can say, well, that all sounds good, but right here is a whole lot more comfortable. And then he says, oh, you ain't got time. Hold on a second. Get up. You're sitting. Come on, let's go. He says, Joe, ponder. I've called you back to this church. I know you drive along. Where do you live at? Tell all the people where you live.
Kenton County.
Lives in Kenton County. Where at?
City of Rowland Heights.
And Rowland Heights. Is anybody driving any farther than Rowland Heights? Raise your hands. But I know, Joe, it's a long ride. But if you're going to drive from Rowland Heights to Revive in Dry Ridge, Kentucky, my plan is not for you or your wife or your children just to attend. I've got a plan, and here it is. Now, you have an option. See, that's always scary that way, right? But it's always a lot more comfortable here. And God does that for every person that's in here. It's crazy. It is insane. Like, I can just walk around this room. It's easy. Come here, Matt. Come on, buddy. Get up. You're too comfortable. You look like about to fall asleep with me. Come on. Gee, Manelli. And God says, you know what's so awesome about this guy? Man, he's got a voice that needs to be heard. And he says, I've got a plan. And I know it's comfortable sitting beside your wife. I know that it's comfortable over there. But see, I've called you and I've marked you. I gave you an ability to do something that people in here would kill to have. But the problem is that door is right over there. And all you got to do is walk through it. But I know it's a lot safer. It's a lot safer over here, ain't it? Some people say, I'm too old. I'm too old to do that. Well, that's funny, because tell Abraham, who had a baby at a very, very elderly age. I know it's hard. Some people in here, and you know exactly who I'm talking about right now. God has given you the ability, when people hit this altar and they're needing a miracle, they're needing someone to go to the gates of hell and bust it. To be a prayer warrior. Some of you are called to that. But I know it's safer and it looks more comfortable where you're sitting. And God says there's a door of your future. And all you got to do is walk through the door. Why is this a problem for us as a community? And I could walk to any of you out here. I could walk to any of you out here. Man, you have abilities that God can use. Let me show you something. Here's why it's a danger not to do what God's called you to do. Go to the next verse. I want you to look at this. Don't read it yet. Here, take it off for 1 second. Just 1 second. Take it back off. So they didn't go. They didn't get to go. 40 years later, God says, oh yeah, by the way, I got this plan that's going to be awesome. I'm going to give you this land of Canaan. That's kind of a repeat, right? Joshua and Caleb said, guess what they said? Moses, he dies off. All the people die off. And they said, guess this is going to be the new plan. We're going to send some people to explore. It never worked the first time. God says, okay, we're going to go through this again. Go ahead and send some people to explore the land again. So they sent some people, and guess who they run into? The least likely, most likely person to be used by God. A prostitute. Somebody that's selling their body for sex. Rahab. The spies run into Rahab. Rahab notices who they are because they're men of God. Let me tell you something. When you're a man or a woman of God, people will realize who you are. If they don't know that you're a man or a woman of God, I promise you, you might not be. The public should know it. The people you work with should know it. I've walked into people before and just talked to them, and they said, we're in unity, ain't we? And I knew what they meant. I can see God on you. I was down at a yard sale real quick. I'm going to tell this story. And I'm not going to be too much longer. But I was at a yard sale this week down there at Riot. And my sister says, I got to tell you this story. This is crazy. This lady she was working with down at one of the departments said, I got to tell you this crazy story about a church. This is insane. She said, I'm getting ready to have surgery. And these two guys drive past my house. I got one day to move. Her name is Deborah Adams. She got one day to move. And I'm going to have surgery the next day. And she said, I'm there by myself trying to load my car and get it all in the car. And she said, this is crazy. She said, this guy passes and he stops and he says, do you need help to get that in the car? And she says, I told him my story. And he prayed for me. And I told him that I was having surgery the next day and I had to move everything out of my house. And I was so stressed out. And she said that day was probably the worst day of my life. She said, here's what's crazy. She said 1 hour later, that pastor come back with about 4 or 5 people with a trailer. And she said they didn't know me from a can of spray paint. They didn't know me. They packed my entire house out, took it to the new house. She said, I went in the surgery the next day. When I come home, some other women of that same exact church went and put all my stuff away. And my sister says, well, who was the pastor? She said, it was this guy named Earl. You see how things just come back around? They don't have to know you for you to act like God. So God says, you want this plan? Go send the spies. They run into Rahab. This is an insane verse that I found, folks. Insane verse that I found. I said, God, I need something new. I need something fresh. He said, you want something fresh? Let me give you something fresh. Take this. Put up the next one. Listen to this. Before the spies lay down that night, Rahab had hid them in her house. She went up on the roof and said to them, I know that the Lord has given you this land to listen to you, and that a great fear of you has fallen on us, so that all who live in this country are melting in fear because of you. We have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt. Now I want you to think about this. Folks, they had come out of Egypt before the 40 years had happened. Think about what this prostitute just told these spies. See, in our eyes, we don't look strong enough. In our eyes, we don't look like we have enough ability, enough talent to get the job done. It looks like that it might be a fortified wall. From the outside, they look real good. They look like that they could take us down. But what this lady just told these spies, and I bet it was a big eye-opener for Joshua and Caleb, is that, hey, you remember the last time you came? Remember the last time they come and spied out the land? We were already afraid of you. We were already melting in fear. Basically, if your people would have come into here, we'd have just said, whoa, that's God's provision over them. Folks, don't let it cost you 40 years. If God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, don't let it cost you 40 years for what God is already willing to give you today. You hear me? He'll give it to you today. What's your heart desire? People always say, I don't know what I'm called to. What has God put on your heart? I don't know I don't know. I just don't know. What has God put on your heart? Because what's on your heart ain't the same thing that's on my heart. Don't try to hold on to your past, because your past is going to lead you way off in a different direction. Well, I know the plan changed, but God, I don't understand. I don't understand why I'm sitting here, right? Why am I here right now when I used to be over here? God said, I never changed the plan. Let's get one thing straight. You did. But God, I used to do this, and now I'm doing this. God says, I never changed your plan. You changed your plan. You made those decisions. You wanted to go explore the land. You wanted to hold off and stay in the past. You wanted to hold off and die in the wilderness. If that's what you want, I will give it to you. I'll give it to you. You can decide. Many of you in here, this is so funny, but I hate to even tell it because it's embarrassing, but many of you in here know that I had a denture plate put in my top dentures. I had ate so much ice at the dentist. He said, you know, you look like you got chainsaw teeth, and if the dentist makes fun of you, you got a problem, folks. I'm gonna tell you. So I'm sitting in, this is a year ago, and I was sitting in the dentist chair on Thursday to get my brand new molded denture that was supposed to be perfectly made for my mouth. This all sounds awesome right now. Kind of like the promised land with the milk and honey, you know what I'm saying? Because before, I had a big hockey puck. And they had to keep putting this glue in it. As my gums would shrink up, they would just keep putting more glue in it. So I had like a denture that felt like a football. That's true. But I got used to the football. I got used to it. And aesthetically, maybe I don't look a whole lot different, but some of you is like, let me check him out now. But the truth is, listen, I go in there and they bring out this new denture and set it on the table, and they said, try that in. And I tried it in, and I'm like, I hate it. I don't like it. It feels funny. It don't feel like the same thing I had before. And they said, no, but this one's made perfectly for you. And I said, man, I don't know. I like the old one. Just do something to the old one. The old one felt pretty good. And they said, no, you're going to stick with this one. Listen, the other one you need to put as backup. Get a reline on it. We're going to put it as backup. And so anyway, I'm sitting there in this chair, right? And I have my own methods of doing things, folks. I'm going to tell you. I'm sitting there thinking, okay. I just said, okay, let's make this one fit as good as possible, get my bite as good as possible, and then what I'm gonna do, as soon as I walk out of here, I'm gonna put my other one back in. You know, if the other one fits good, then let it ride. My dad always told me, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't worry about it. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh. But I noticed that they got my bite really good. And I'm like, when I bite down, like it's all right. But I still don't like it. It's better, but I don't like it. And I drive out of there, and I'm driving down the road, and God says, you know why you don't like it? And I'm like, I don't know why, God. I'm mad at God, right? These are the conversations I'm having. I don't know, God, why. He said, you may tell you why you don't like it? I'm like, why? He said, because it actually feels like the real teeth that you used to have when you were about 13 or 14 before you chomped them down. So I started rubbing my tongue over the back of these, and they're like, man, they do their hardest to make the gums look right, to make the teeth feel like real gums, even the bottom of them. I mean, they're not like just some, squared off thing that you got in your, they do their best. And God says, I've gave you something better that's the real McCoy, but you really don't want it, do you? And then God says, that'll preach. Because that's exactly where most people are on their life. He said they've got this imitation thing on one side that doesn't really fit their life. If they would really look at it, it's too big for their life. It's too much for their life. It's too wide for their life. And God is saying that is like the hockey puck that you used to have. And over here, I've got this brand new thing that I'm willing to do. But why do we keep choosing the imitation? And when I walked out of that dentist office, Kenzie, some of you know Kenzie Hamilton, she works there, which is not cool when a person from your church is sitting there and they like pull that denture out. And I'm just like, I don't really want to. You know, because I mean, it's like all these people that I know work there. And they take my denture and they take it. So I'm sitting there with no teeth and all these people are coming in and trying to give me hugs. And I'm like, they're like, how you doing? Or I'm like, you know, eventually you're going to say something. And they know what your issue is. I'm like, why do you come in at that moment? It's not your best moment. But here's what she told me. She said, Earl, when you leave here, I know you. And you're going to try to put that old one back in. She said, don't do it. Don't do it. It's not better than the one that's in your mouth right now. Don't put the old one back in your mouth. Don't do it. Work with the one you got, and I promise in the long run, it will be better than the imitation you had before. Folks, God is saying this. There's many people in here that has the imitation thing that looks like God. It seems like it fits your life. And this is the last thing I want to tell you. It's over here and it's imitation. Coming to church, imitating things that look like a good and godly life. And God says, I know, but you're still in the desert because what I've called you to is right over here. And the only one that can decide where you're going is you. Can everybody stand up? Listen, God has already done it. He's already won the victory. He's already won the war. Don't be like the 10 that went out and said, no, it's going to be too hard. Be and have faith like Joshua and Caleb did. Because whatever God has called you to, He already knows you don't have the strength. You don't have the abilities. You don't have the talent. You don't have the things that you think that you need to mark out, to explore, to say, can I make it happen? Can I get it done based on my ability? God says, forget all that. Because I have already, if I've called you to it, I'm already preparing and melting the hearts for people in your future to make a way for you today. Amen? He will make a way.